Ahum to you and yours. I blow on to you the essence of knowledge of higher wisdom. Allow it to come to you so that you can understand today's lesson. Today's lesson has to do with your soul's tone. Yes, we emit frequencies. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to take a look at, Google, and then Google what space sounds like, what each planet sounds like. You'll be able to get different planets and what the satellites have picked up as what their sound, what they emit. Well, all these sounds, when you sum them all together, they make a bigger frequency of sound. But when we start pinpointing to a galaxy, then to a particular planet, to a particular section of the planet, and then we start saying, this one person, for example, me, what is your soul's tone? Well, we first have to understand that we ourselves emit a frequency, a sound. We don't hear it. It gets placed inside the overall frequency that the planet is humming into. So per se, really, that you can hear your soul, you can spiritually, and if you practice enough in absolute quietness, then perhaps you can actually perceive a tone. When we talk about sound as a particular spiritual experience, we understand that in linear time, the human space and time that we are actually using, or we find ourselves in, sound is one of the most important things that helps us through our spiritual experiences. Healing is a frequency. Grounding lets go of sound as well, frequencies. The exchange between Mother Earth and you as a unit of energy, that creates a sound. Things that we can't perceive, but if we are energy, which we are, then we are emitting and receiving sound from everywhere around us. Those are frequencies. There are countless of healing practitioners out there who actually use sound therapy in some form or another for clients. I love using the sound bowls and tuning forks when I measure biofield or areas of the body where the resonance of the sound sounds different than other parts of the body. That tells me there's a problem. May be coming, or maybe it's already there. But there's a problem with the sound going through. That is true on everything, for everything. Based on sound experiences like drummings, like drumming circles, when you go to a drumming circle, or a sound bath, or any of those sound experiences for spiritual work, we understand that this is how our ancestors connected to source, to spirit, to God. This is what they did because they became part of a living frequency burst that would finally connect to the frequency and energy frequencies of the universe and finally would get to where it needed to get to. How many times have you guys heard voices at some time or another? You cannot tell me that you have not heard a voice. I hear it all the time while I'm taking a shower. I hear it, if I'm doing something and all of a sudden, if I have white noise, I actually hear somebody call my name or somebody say something. You can't say that you haven't, because everybody at some point or another have heard or has heard somebody call their name or say something. Almost everyone who spends a lot of time in nature can say that they've imagined they heard a voice carried in through the wind at some point. And if you ever thought that you heard someone crying out like a kid or a woman or even a man, and you just can't figure out where it's come from or where it's coming from, you're hearing voices. This is a spiritual experience. This is some sound that has broken through that frequency or was carried in its own frequency, blended into the frequency that you're in, and you were able to perceive it. There's no juju. There's nothing like that happened. This is frequency. We got to understand that, guys, okay? Now, if you've ever heard a tone or had some ringing in your ears, not the kind of ringing where you are going through ascension or you're going to get a message. Well, with a message, yes, it'll be ringing in the ear, and then you get a voice that gives you a message. When there's nobody and anything around you, you're like in an empty room, and all of a sudden it's like, wee! You're like, what is this? What could possibly be making this sound? It would be the same thing as if you're in the room, in your room, let's say right here, and across the lake, which has happened, somebody has said something out loud, but it's across the lake, but I'm inside my house. All of a sudden, I hear the mumbling of words, and I'm like, who's that? I go outside and I investigate. I'm an investigator. I go out there. Somehow that energy, that frequency went through all of this and found a little space to get to me. But you realize that on certain circumstances, there's nobody else. There's nobody across the lake. There is nobody there. There isn't even a wind that would make like, whoo, and then it would sound. Maybe you would perceive it as somebody talking. And then you're like, oh, hold on a moment. That can't possibly be it, because it's not tethered to a physical something that would make that yet. You're hearing sometimes a full-blown conversation, sometimes words, sometimes whispers. Sometimes it even feels like a touch. That's frequency. Okay? That's frequency. A touch when there's nobody there. That's frequency. All right? Now, what I want you to understand is that these sounds or voices that are speaking to you are speaking to you from within. Now, there are many possibilities, but the one that I want you to really think about is the actual conversation that your soul is having with your body, with you. Can it be that your soul wants to connect and become one with you and actually speak with you? Absolutely. Most oftentimes, it's your soul speaking to you. It's nothing else. Yes, there are going to be days where you have mediumship that you are just totally open to receive mediumship. And yes, you're going to get messages. And yes, this is going to happen. But there are some times, more often than not, where your soul is speaking to you. And then this brings the question, can I hear somebody else's soul talking to me or talking to that other person? Okay, how do you hear that? Can you hear that? Well, you can hear another person's soul reverberating off of your soul. Remember how frequencies work. It's bound, 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 until it gets to you. And then as that frequency gets to the person sitting next to you, grabs some of that frequency, that tonality from that other person's soul. Yes, you don't hear it like in your ear. How can I explain it? But you hear it. You feel it. It's a perceiving mechanism that you have, and you perceive it. It's like every once in a while you go, did you say something? And they'll tell you, no. It was either your soul or that soul or someone that the frequency came to you to talk to you. But most often than not, it's going to be your soul communicating possibly to the other person's soul, or your soul communicating to you, or that other person's soul trying to communicate to your soul, and you're going to perceive it. Now, the human body is so freaking dense, okay, in this physical appearance, that the light that is naturally inside of you has a high frequency pitch that belongs to it. It emits, it already has a high frequency pitch. And this high frequency pitch from the light that is inside of you, this high frequency pitch is what your soul finds and aligns itself to you, to the meat suit. While you are not supposed to hear another person's soul tone with your physical ears, you can hear it from within your soul, from within that light, from within that high frequency pitch that you have inside. You have your own tone. That tone blends into your body. Then your body brings out that tone and adds to the physical realm of linear time. Your spiritual and soul tone aligns itself to your physical body in linear time, but it also adds to the summation of frequency that makes you. I always talk about coordinates. Your coordinates on this linear world. This has a lot to do with that ping in the universe that can actually find you anywhere at any place. That's why prayers come out with that tone. Prayers come in, healing comes in. They find you, they ping you in your coordinates. They can find you with the same light that your soul aligns itself in your body. It's important that you guys understand that. All right? So you guys wanted to know what your soul's tone is. And that's what it is. And everybody has a signature tone. And you can hear it. You just need to meditate in a very quiet place. And you'll hear it. I hope this answers your question about your soul's tone. Everybody has it. It's time for you to play. Enjoy yourself. Bye.